Um, Hello to you all. We meet again today at a Brand Institute of Forensics and Security to proceed with our presentations. And today we are going to be looking at employability skills, and we shall be looking at lesson number 2, which is interpersonal communication. Interpersonal communication. I hope you remember what we covered in lesson 1, which was part of the introduction, where we spoke about your vision, we spoke about your mission statement, we spoke about your goals, and we also spoke about emotional management. And in emotional management, you remember we mentioned some few things, including fear, insecurity, dislike, anger management. I hope that you can remember this and put them into practice, because employability skills, as I said earlier, it is how you position yourself to remain relevant at your workplace and also position yourself for growth in your career. It is a very, very important topic that we need to take into consideration. Today, we shall be looking at interpersonal communication, which is also very, very important. I hope in your career up to this level, you have at least learned something about communication. And communication is the exchange of information from one person to the other. And there are other things that are involved in communication, which is related to feedback, which is related to interruptions, which is related to noise. Those are some of the factors that hinder proper communication. So let's go straight to interpersonal skills. I hope that these recordings are now audible compared to the previous ones. So I hope we shall move on this way and try to catch up with time, try to recover the time that we have lost. So interpersonal communication. And before we continue, just a reminder of the topics that we are going to be learning is conduct self-management, which we have already done. Now we are going to do demonstrate interpersonal communication, and then we shall do demonstrate critical safe work habits, and then we shall look at lead a workplace team, because we are preparing you to be a leader, we are preparing you to be a supervisor, we are preparing you to be a manager, we are preparing you to be a director, we are preparing you to be a president of a security in a particular organization, or a president of IT in a particular organization. So we are going to look at a lead a workplace team from just the basic levels, and then we shall also look at plan and organize work. We shall look at maintain growth and development. We shall look at demonstrate workplace learning. We are also going to look at demonstrate problem solving skills. And then we shall look at manage workplace ethics. Manage workplace ethics. When we go back to interpersonal communication, we see that communication is simply the exchange of information between two people. So when we talk about interpersonal communication, we are talking about how two people communicate. How two people communicate. It can mean sharing information and expressing thoughts or feelings, either face to face or through a medium such as a phone, email, or social media. So what you need to remember here is that interpersonal communication is how two people communicate, And remember, it is very important, because even in interviews, there comes a time when you are asked to explain whether you have good interpersonal communication skills, which means, are your communication skills effective? Which kind of skills do you have? Can you communicate effectively verbally? Can you communicate effectively through mediums like email, like mobile phones, like social media? Can you communicate effectively through these mediums? That is what we call interpersonal communication. When we look at it also, when we talk about interpersonal communication, as related to PowerPoint, or as related to this training, you can see there is a sender on one end, there is a receiver on the other end, and then there is the communication. And then, as I said earlier, there are factors that affect communication, factors that affect proper interpersonal communication, including noise, including biases, including some background issues, including interferences from other people. Such kind of things usually affect communication. Also, listening, ineffective listening affects also communication, because somebody is trying to communicate a message to you, but you cannot get the message correctly because of your poor listening skills. I'm really going to just go through an overview of these definitions, and we say audience. This refers to us, the people that needs information, the audience, people who are listening to whatever you are saying. And then we have communication networks. These are the channels or patterns in organizations through which communication flows, and they can be informal or formal. So we are going to look at those communication channels, formal and informal. So we are just going through a little bit of definitions, and we say audience needs, and we say communication and network, and then we say communication structure refers to the pattern in an organization through which interactions exist in organizations. Communication structure is important in management functions. And then we say internal customers. Who are internal customers? I think from your own basic information or at your level, you know who are external and who are internal customers. Mainly when we talk about internal customers, we talk about your co-workers, the departmental managers, your management team, your fellow subordinate team members, amongst yourselves internally, how you communicate internally with the people who you work with. Customer directly connected to an organization and involves stakeholders, employees, and even shareholders. They may also include creditors and external regulators. And then we have external customers. External customers are now who we call the clients themselves, the visitors themselves, the customers directly who use your services or who purchase your products. These are what we call internal and external customers. If you are asked to differentiate between internal and external customers, you must remember internal customers are those who you work with, those who you interact with in the organization to make the business or to offer services. And then external customers are those who use your services. And then we have also external customers. I have already spoken about that. And then we have also spoken about listening skills. We say listening skills are very, 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 very important in interpersonal communication. If you have got poor listening skills, then you cannot be able to understand messages correctly. And one of the problems in listening skills is the aspect that we interrupt others when they are speaking before we even get the message. Before we even listen to them, we are already interrupting, we are already arguing, we are already defending ourselves. So that means that we don't take time to be quiet and to listen to the other person and to get the communication or the information clearly before we can respond. So just take note that when you become defensive in communication, then you are creating a barrier to proper listening. We are also going to look at some of the interpersonal communication processes. Interpersonal communication processes. And we have said listening is an active process of receiving and interpreting open message by a purposeful listener. A purposeful listener is a person who has got an intention to listen. A person who is not a purposeful listener is a person who intends to interrupt even before the message is passed. And there are people who have serious problems with listening, and you have interacted with them even at your workplace or even in your villages or even where you stay. They can't simply listen. Before you say something, they are already there interrupting. Before you say something, they are already saying something else. It becomes so annoying because you are not able to pass the information correctly. We have completed with listening is just involves ability to actively understand and act upon a message. It also entails giving feedback, asking questions, and purposefully exchanging information. That is what we call active listening. It actually involves ability to actively understand and act upon a message. It also entails giving feedback, asking questions, and purposely exchanging information. Um, as and Because listening is very, very, very relevant and very important to interpersonal communication, let's look at some of the levels of listening. Some of the levels of listening. I hope you will go through the notes and you write this one down. Reception. This is hearing without attending to the surrounding sounds or noises. This happens when the speaker is taking his or her turn and listener is listening. So reception is when hearing without attending to the surrounding sounds or noises. This happens when the speaker is taking his or her turn and the listener is listening. That is the reception. You are receiving the information. And then we have attention, which is listening without effort to relate or understand what is said. For example, listening to a song without even understanding the message. So attention. It means listening without effort. And then focusing. This is the lowest level of active listening, whereby isolated facts and details are attended to without any organizational plan. And then we say integration, which is relating new information to old learning, such as learning new methods to solve problems or find new solutions. And then interpretation. Interpretation is bringing together what has been said and attaching new meaning to the information. Interpretation is very important, especially when you conduct investigation into issues. Interpretation is very, very, very important. How you understand this and this was said, this and this was said, and how do I interpret it, and how do I understand? And that's where we have biggest problems, interpretation. Because when somebody says something, you listen to it, but you interpret different. We all interpret things differently. That is why you see when it is very difficult for people to understand books that have stood the test of time, including the Bible and including the Quran, because people interpret messages differently. And then we say implication, applying information to personal experience and using it to perform a task or respond to a given situation. And then evaluation, which is evaluation involves judging the accurate and relevance of the information to the situation. Evaluation, you evaluate, which means involves judging the accurate and relevance of the information to the situation, judging the accuracy and relevance of the information to the situation. Those are some of the levels of listening. I hope you have noted them down. Just write down reception, attention, focusing, integration, interpretation, implication, and evaluation. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Those are 7 levels. Moving forward, we say audience. Audience refers to one or more person. The people who are listening to one person who's talking, this is the audience. Or the people who are listening, a person who's listening to the other is called the audience. So audience refers to one or more persons who come purposely to listen to the speaker. They may listen, respond, or ask questions. So that is the audience. They come forward to listen to the speaker. You are a supervisor and you are speaking to your subordinates. They are your team. They are your audience. They are listening to you. You are a security manager. You have called a meeting. You are speaking to your people. They are your audience. It is important to know and understand the audience who help determine your strategy as a speaker. It is very, very important to understand and to know the audience who determine your strategy as a speaker. We also say there are some types of audiences. Let me read from a different document here. The same that is on the screen, but I will read it from on the side. So there's a friendly audience. The purpose of writing or communicating to them is to reinforce their beliefs and practices. Friendly audience. There is also what we call apathesis. This type of audience needs to be convinced of that which matters for them first. Parties, this type of audience needs to be convinced of that which matters for them first. And then uninformed. The requirement for this type of audience is educating them first before proceeding to the course of action. Like children, you have to educate them before you proceed to the course of action. And then there is hostile. These are hostile audiences. It's very difficult to deal with. This is the type that needs to be respected and their viewpoints considered thereafter, which you may listen to them. For instance, a speaker or the message can be framed as based on this information. I implore you to change. Before seeking for change, their views must be understood. This is what we call hostile audience. So when we talk about types of audience, we talk about friendly audience, we talk about apathesis, we talk about uninformed, and then we talk about hostile audience. Please keep those one in mind, note them down, read them in detail, do more research on them, because that one is very, very important points. Audience needs. Before we communicate to people, before we talk to someone, we have also to think about their needs. what are their needs as audiences. And we say audience needs refers to a need, want, condition, or gap in knowledge. What do they want to know? It means you're speaking to people who don't know the things that you are trying to share. So they need to know there is a gap. And then effective communication begins with audience determination on their needs. Audience knowing what are their needs. This is important in developing the message in the way they are likely to listen, engage, and act in response. The audience needs to be informed through proper conveyance of the message to be captured, which will capture their attention and interest to be inspired. This will fulfill their expectations and impact them. So that is what we call audience needs. Before you speak to somebody, you have to take into consideration what do they need, what is important to them. For example, if it is a security meeting, you have called a security meeting, you want to speak to your team. Before you continue, you have to write down a little agenda, taking into consideration what they need. For example, these people need off days. These people need an increase in salary. These people need proper uniforms. These people need proper supervision. These people need proper coordination. So you write those things down. I'm going to talk about coordination. I'm going to talk about uniform. I'm going to talk about conflict management within the team. I'm going to talk about leave. I'm going to talk about public holidays. So you have to know audience needs before you can communicate. Even when you are talking to somebody, don't just pass information without first thinking about what are the needs of this individual. Then we say speaking, reading, and writing. Speaking is very important, and I can just say one thing here. It is important for you to develop good speaking skills. If you are developing in your career, you are back in school, and it is very important for you to develop important or relevant speaking skills. Speaking outlines the ability to perform and persuade others. Speaking outlines the ability to inform and persuade others. There are people I know in the security profession and even in the other fields, entrepreneurs in the IT technology, who cannot speak. They cannot even express themselves. So develop your speaking skills. But two, develop your public speaking skills, that you can speak in front of people, that you can pass information. It calls for courage, it calls for confidence, it calls for proper, effective communication, and it also comes with personal growth. When you are able to speak in front of people, 10 to 15 people, then you know that you are moving in the right direction. And you can practice, for those who are Christians, even at church, just try to speak in front of people. Even those who are in the Islamic religion, try to speak in barazas, or in what we call schools where they teach people the Islamic religion. Try to speak in front of people. Try to speak in front of your friends. Try to speak in front of your family. Try to be a person who can practice public speaking. And then reading. Also in your career, as you grow, you must be able to read effectively. According to Smith, reading is an interaction between the reader and the author. Reading. Read as many publications as possible. Read as many books as possible. This will be very important to you as you grow in your career. The purpose of reading is to pleasure or entertain, acquiring general information, getting directions and instructions, and also we read for academic purposes. Reading is very important. And then we say reading effectively entails strategies that will save time, acquire and retain more information. Such includes preview text to get an overview. So reading is very, very, very important, that you understand how to read. Sometimes we read just the title and author details. We read the abstract. We read the main heading and subheading. Instructions, we look at instructions, graphs, and tables. We look at first sentences of each paragraph only, and without reading the details. So you must be able to read effectively for you to be able to understand what you are reading, and for you to be able to pass the information to your audience effectively. And then we say skimming, scanning. These are some of the way people read. There is a scan. Skimming involves running your eye quickly over text to pick the main details and without paying attention to details. Skimming is done through noting any bold print, reading quickly over text, reading just few words, or familiarizing with the reading materials. And then we say scanning. This is sweeping eye over text to find specific information. Scanning, sweeping eye over text to find specific information. And then we say intensive reading. This is the detailed and found study of the important chapter, done through staring at the beginning, highlighting and making brief point, maintaining main ideas, noting bibliography information. So this is intense reading, which is deep reading to understand information clearly, which is also very important. As we continue also, we look at writing. Writing is also very important. And here is where we have many problems even in many organizations. Many of the security officers, many of the security managers, many of the security supervisors cannot write effectively. I'm telling you from a personal experience. And if you want to know that most people cannot write effectively, look at occurrence books. Look at occurrence books in any field that you are in, even if it is marketing, even if it is security, even if it is information technology. Just look at currency books. You will find that people do not manage to put information together properly. Writing involves language, symbols, and graphics to represent information. The thoughts, ideas, and information to be related are put into a readable form. Writing skills involve the ability to convert ideas through and information into a readable form. So writing is very important. Practice good writing. Ensure you improve your handwriting. Though nowadays people use mainly systems to write things, to write information. Also learn how to use these systems. Invest in yourself. Buy a laptop. Or make sure you have a nice phone that you can use to type, to write things. I can tell you it will come very handy in your career. Because as you grow, you reach a stage where you need to write reports every morning or every day. Operational reports, incident reports, management reports, you need to submit them. There are others we call weekly operational reports, monthly operational reports. So if your writing skills are not very good, then I can tell you you'll be in problem. Though I have said most people nowadays we type, but typing is also a form of writing. So you have to practice this skill. Ensure your writing skills are up to date. So we say writing skills are very important to your career. Listening skills, reading skills, writing skills are very, very important in your career. Even when you go through interviews, they will come a time they are asking you, are you able to write clearly? Are you able to read clearly? Are you able to speak clearly? Because you are growing in your career, you are moving into supervision position, you're moving into middle management position, you're moving into top management positions, and you must be able to articulate, you must be able to speak in front of people, you must be able to write properly, and you must be able to listen clearly. Those are some of the things to keep in mind under employability skills, which is a very, very, very relevant topic. Also, I cannot say much about writing skills, but it is important. Writing can involve taking notes or preparing a speech to deliver. In attaining writing skill, one is able to explain ideas for others and present them. One is able to explain ideas for others and present them. Negotiation skills. Negotiation skills. How we see that the ability to influence others, to persuade and influence others, or to influence and persuade others, is the core of successful business. This depends on the ability to communicate effectively and build relationships, business growth, and organization improvement. Negotiation skills are useful in satisfying interest and getting what is needed. They form persuasive communication and help in getting others to do what you want them to do. They also offer an opportunity to solve problems or collaborate with the portion. A good negotiator can leave both parties fulfilled. That is the final statement. A good negotiator can leave both parties fulfilled. A good negotiation can leave both parties fulfilled. You have to be a very good negotiator. In fact, to succeed in the industry of security, as I always refer to security because security is my career. I am a security professional, and I don't think I am moving to any other career very soon. I think I'm going to stay relevant in security and for the remaining part of my life. It is very important for you to learn how to negotiate because you will negotiate for your position, you will negotiate for good salary, you will negotiate for good business interests. You will put the business or organization is in a very strategic position if you can negotiate properly. So learn how to negotiate. Learn how to negotiate. Learn how to negotiate. Negotiation, they say it is about the ability to influence and persuade others. The ability to influence and persuade others. Influence and persuade others is passing communication to them until they listen, until they understand, until you persuade them, until they do what you want to do. So the skills how to negotiate, these are very, very important skills. We see stages in negotiation. I'll go through it very quickly. Preparation, bargaining, timing issue. Time should be considered for effective negotiation. Deadline should be set and agreed upon. Venue and setting. Sitting. The sitting arrangement communicates a message and opens room for more frank discussion and bargaining. And then setting an agenda. You don't go into any negotiation without an agenda. You must have an agenda. What am I going to talk about? What am I going to negotiate about? I'm going to negotiate about my position. I'm going to negotiate about my salary. I'm going to negotiate about my working conditions. I'm going to negotiate about others' time management, which is not very good. So you have to have an agenda. What are you going to negotiate about? And what is the purpose for this negotiation? And then you have to prepare, and then you have to bargain. And then bargaining, they say this may involve face-to-face conversations, phone calls, and letters, among others. At this stage, there are offers to make clarifying, understanding, and hopefully arriving at a conclusive agreement. Effective negotiation skills entail asking questions, listening actively, emphasizing, considering and explaining, and creative thinking. Effective negotiation skills entail asking questions, listening actively, emphasizing, considering and explaining, and then creative thinking. And then negotiation skills are important and create success in business. Differences will always exist, hence strong negotiation and the negotiation skills are required in our workplace. And then emphasizing, emphasizing. Empathy means recognizing other person's feelings, their cause and effects in their emotional experience without becoming part of it. It's like stepping into other person's shoes and listening to their concerns and feeling their feelings and trying to come to a decision that these people are interested in this or this is what is disturbing them. Empathy enables us to communicate ideas in such a way that they can make sense to others. Empathy enables us to communicate ideas in such a way that they can make sense to others. And then we say numeracy is also a very important skill, is required in carrying out roles effectively. This involves ability to use numbers and solving problems in real life. You see, even in our course, under our curriculum, there is a module called numeracy. Fred Dula is taking you through this topic. It is called numeracy. You must be able to use numbers because when you grow in your career, there will come a time when you have to prepare budgets, you have to prepare operational costs, you have to prepare what we call short-term and long-term needs for your department, and this involves numbers. An example of numeracy is balance checking customer or client money. Numeracy is very, very important also in your career. So as you develop, think about it under employability skills. And then we spoke already about internal and external customers, and we saw who are internal customers and we saw who are external customers. Please explore on this one. Explore on this one and have a list. You can write on one side internal customers, on the other side external customers, and then you can compare and understand how it works. But from that, we say there are other areas of identifying customer needs, mostly through SWOT analysis. We are also going to look at this as we move ahead in the basics, module 1, lesson 1. we mentioned briefly about SWOT analysis, which is strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And then we say daily studies to record experiences, frustrations, positive experience, and thought, paying attention to new customer of the exception, attaining future customer needs through updating content to avoid losing customers to your competitors. As a security person, I have always said you are a business enabler. You should position yourself in such a way that you are a business enabler. You should understand the business. You should be a business manager and then second, a security manager. That's how you're going to succeed. So you must understand who are your customers. How do we create revenue? How do we operate for you to be able to integrate yourself deeply into the organization and gain a strategic advantage even over other departmental managers, gain influence even over departmental managers. That way you will have a say, so that when you speak to the general manager directly or the CEO directly, then your concerns can be taken into account. Persuasion has a sole purpose of getting the listeners to transform their ideas and believe in favor of the perspective of the communicator. The intent of persuasion is influencing the audience and make them support an idea or perform a certain task. How to persuade people. Effective persuasion should equally address customer queries. Persuasion, learn how to persuade people, learn how to make people listen to you, learn how to speak without using force. You just tell them things realistically based on facts, and you are able to persuade people or to influence people, which is also an aspect of interpersonal communication. And then we say communication networks. We also spoke about this. A communication network is a pattern through which information flows in an organization. It can also imply the methods used to pass information. Communication networks include chain information, network information, wheel network information, and cycle network. Please write those ones down. Chain information travels up in hierarchical manner. Communication occurs only with the next higher hierarchy and follows a chain of command. Network information is transmitted up and down through hierarchy. These resemble an upside Y. Here, the number of individuals reaching to a supervisor is wider. And then wheel network. In this network, information flows to and from a single person, and the network relied on the leader information. And then circle network. Employees only communicate with adjoining organization members, such that communication is with immediate neighbor to neighbor. The network should be established as per the standard operating procedure. And then we see assertiveness. We also spoke about it in lesson 1. This is how you speak, how you express yourself, how you communicate, how you say what you feel regarding work. Assertiveness enables individuals to thrive in the workplace. In communication, being assertive will enable an individual to pass information easily without upsetting others. Being assertive, you have to have confidence, you have to have courage that you know what you are saying. And that is the importance of also going back to school. Because when you go back to school, you learn about so many things and you gain confidence and you gain courage. So when you are speaking about issues, you are speaking about issues that you know. For example, if you're speaking to your manager about your salary increment compared to other people in the field, you talk with confidence that, look, other people at my level who have graduated with diplomas or degrees in security management are earning this field. For example, this amount. For example, Safaricom pays this. Kenya pays this. Kenya Airways pays this. You say they are security officers, and we are an organization that is in that level. So I should also be in that level based on my work grade. You speak with knowledge, you speak with information, you speak from a point of information. That's what we call assertiveness, that you are free and able to pass your ideas while respecting the beliefs of and rights of others. And then we say sharing information is also very important. When this is the case, instructions and clarifications as well received, all members are aware of the expectations. The result will be stronger relationship, sharing of ideas and knowledge to improve performance. Sharing information will equally make work environment cooperative. There are other organizations where people don't share information, and then it becomes very hard. For example, you are handing over shift to another supervisor and you don't share complete information of what happened within your shift. That supervisor is left in a very difficult situation, because when questions come, then he cannot be able to answer the questions because you did not share information correctly. Be a person who shares information, especially related to work, not personal information, information related to work. Share with your colleagues in a very effective manner. And then also we see that interpersonal skills, in conclusion, interpersonal skills involves verbal communication, a person talking to another, being a good listener, listening skills, self-confidence, team play, positive approach to criticism. And that one, I'll mention something. There are people who don't take criticism positively or feedback positively. We learn how to take it positively and move ahead. And then there's empathy and then time management. We spoke also about that in lesson 1. Time management is also very important, and coping with pressure. There are people who cannot survive under pressure, and then troubleshooting skills. Even when you are being interviewed for certain positions in some organizations, they will ask you, are you able to survive under pressure? Under pressure means that the workload is very heavy, and suddenly, not always, but once in a while, are you able to survive? Are you able to keep moving? So you must position yourself in such a way that you are able to do these things. This revolve around interpersonal communication. Have very good verbal communication skills. Have very good listening skills. Be self-confident. Be a team player. Have a positive approach to criticism. Have empathy. Step into other people's shoes, especially as you grow to become a leader. Don't ignore their concerns. Don't ignore their issues. And then time management. Be a very good time manager. Manage your time well. And then learn how to cope with pressure. And then learn troubleshooting skills, finding out where trouble is and what are we supposed to do about it. That one is also very important in security. So this is about interpersonal communication skills, and these things are very important to you as you grow in your career. Finally, whether it's giving effective feedback, providing the right information to a project team, or drafting a clear and concise email, communicating well leads to higher employee engagement and success. Thank you very much. I'll meet you again in the next lesson. Thank you.